Jersey Crypto here. This video is going to be both about Hedera Hashgraph and Rarible. We'll start with Hedera Hashgraph. So my general outlook on Hedera Hashgraph is that it is a technology beyond blockchain. Now, the concept of it is also a little bit further than what most people can grasp. So as far as financially, which this is not financial advice, I am not a financial advisor, but this is my opinion and my thoughts and what I would be doing with my investment, which I've already done. So I invested into Hedera Hashgraph. I'm going to be completely honest. Because I feel like people have this way of going onto YouTube and seeing these YouTubers boast about these coins and the relative nature of the market right now is that we're probably already maybe 100% up from where it will end up in about 6 months from now. Is the market going to be on a steady increase over time? Yes, but the line is much lower than people think because of the euphoria in a bull market. A bull market really is the trend, not to get too deep into this, but it's to generalize a trend is to have a more basically, if you look at the trend over time expanded, the volatility starts to flatten slightly. And because the spikes don't, like Bitcoin going from, $6,000 to $60,000 to $100,000 within a matter of 8 months, a year, span that over 10 years and the nature of the trend, and you will see that flatten slightly. So the overall impact is a lot less than you think on your finances, if you were to invest over time. Now, when you invest during those spikes, it is going to heavily impact your short-term investments or your short-term outlook on your investment. Either way, if you guys want to hear more about this, hit me in the comments. I'll make a video on it. But so Hedera Hashgraph, I invested in 2 years ago. It's up 10x from then. So my outlook on Hedera Hashgraph, as far as investing right now, is it's very speculatory because it is going to be hardest for them to, when you could do everything, what do you pinpoint that's going to make people attracted to you? It's almost better to be really good at one thing because it's so much easier to communicate. So anything that gets thrown out here, if you take any trend in the market, Hedera Hashgraph can do it. Now, all blockchains are meant to perform the same. It's just the marketing behind them and the development on top of them is to pinpoint a certain market. They're going to, depending on the developer is either going to be hyper-focused on a very specific market, or they're going to be able to, have a little more broad. The more you can do, the slower the growth. Pretty much. So, being that Hedera Hashgraph is, in a sense, a technology beyond blockchain, their growth is going to be slower because the concept is beyond people's focus. So you might not see, and this is my opinion, but you might not see the rate of increase during this bull market for Hedera Hashgraph that you would see for, in comparison, I'm trying to think, it's hard to compare it to another currency, but let's just say, let's compare it to one of the smart contract coins, and the one I'm going to single out is Cardano. So Cardano is one currency or smart contract cryptocurrency or coin, whatever you want to call it. It's a blockchain, but they are beyond their means in their market cap, but the potential is astronomical in the reasoning of the ideas behind their development. Now, development can only be judged once it is being utilized, and most of the utilization on Cardano is similar to the utilization in Hedera Hashgraph, but it's more relative to the current state of the market. So people can grasp the concept of, proof of stake, smart contracts, and the current utilization of it. So Cardano will probably see more gains, and you're going to have to backtrack and compare them from, at least the beginning of the year, if not last year, because that's when the green, the uptrend started. Where Hedera Hashgraph, the utilization of that technology isn't necessarily even considered yet, because the market is still, the technology is still in its infancy and direction phase. It's still finding a direction because there's not enough infrastructure yet, and there's not enough of a transition of the current actions that people take in order to utilize it more. So I just don't think Hedera's technology is ready to be adopted, being that it's like a stepping stone, First comes Bitcoin, which is basically the store value to compare all crypto wealth to. I could see Bitcoin maybe settling at 5% to 10% of the overall market, and kind of keeping that trend once there's a lot more adoption, because there will be more acceptance to the other technologies and their value. That's, probably 5 to 10 years down the road. Which, if Bitcoin is at, say, where gold is now, 12 trillion, then that puts the whole market at $100 trillion market. Around there. That's closer to 10%. So 10 years from now, with how much money printing there is, and how little interest there is in gold, other than for, all the uptrend in jewelry is even starting to die, I think. But either way, I kind of trailed off there. But that's my sense on Hedera Hashgraph, even though I didn't hyper focus on it. Hedera is going to be better introduced in 4 to 5 years. If you go on their website and you see the governance, they're being utilized by institutions and companies that don't care about what you think is valuable. What they're doing is they're getting in early enough to a technology that is going to support their growth, their rapid growth, the company's rapid growth. And you have an early means of investing in it. I think there might be a better opportunity in 6 months, 6 to 8 months. Not financial advice. But, like I said, the hardest things to communicate are usually the most important. And talking about technology 5 to 10 years down the road is a very hard thing to communicate, and it's very important, but it's not relative to where we are now, so most people can't grasp that concept. Now, I have other videos on Hedera Hashgraph. The reason why I don't get into the technology too much is because, you guys have to do your research, and I think that's a good project to really hone in on your attention to detail skills with researching these technologies. Because it's, when you look into Hedera Hashgraph and the consensus mechanism, it really kind of makes other blockchains seem so much more simple. And right now, simplicity will lead to adoption. So right now, the more simple technologies in cryptocurrency will be the ones to be adopted first. The more complex are going to be the ones to, take a little more time for people to grasp and start to realize their potential. So even if they have a greater potential, it's just the way the world works. Now, Rarible, one of the reasons why I'm focused on Rarible is because, one, my opinion on decentralized DAOs is very high in governance, because it's our first opportunity to take part in governing a market. I think Nft'S will end up being a hedge against regulation, a hedge against, the overall market trend and the declines that come after major bull markets, because something that is judged mainly by opinion, as far as what NFTs amount to right now, it's mainly, artwork, and the value in it is the appearance and the opinion of the person holding the art and the person interested in the art. It separates itself from the technology behind it, in the fact that it's something you can look at and appreciate more so than finances. So the first way I'm going to get into that, and I think one of the most stable ways to know when to buy and sell your artworks, your pieces of art, is to own a bit of the market. So when you own the market, you can speculate much easier, because you're looking at the down and up trends of the market. If you click on Rarible and you hit the all button on the time frame, you can very easily, and it might not be 100% accurate to the trend in the NFT market, because however much Rarible impacted it, will kind of directly affect the accuracy of its judgment on it. But overall, it'll give you a sense of the NFT market. So I believe, in my opinion, that right now the NFT market is in a accumulation phase. The up and down trend is slowly getting less and less. They had a big spike back in June. And then I think because of that huge spike, people, their financial situation, or their assessment of their asset, which was the art, seemed to be, valued more at selling it than keeping it. So that's going to impact the entire market when everyone comes to an agreement that it's time to let some of this go. Now, you saw right after that a huge dip, and people bought at a very inflated short-term it's really hard to think of how to talk about this, so please have a little bit of patience. But when you buy something at the top and you don't realize it's the top, because an uptrend can be the most deceiving. A downtrend is a lot easier to grasp, because you start to calm down, maybe 40 to 50% into a downtrend, and you start to accept the negative risk of it. Where an uptrend, could be 70 to 80% finished, and people will not accept the fact that the growth is going to reverse in the next 20%. It's something with the human mindset. But being aware of that, you should be much more cautious going into an uptrend, and you're going to naturally be more knowing going into a downtrend. It's just how it is. But, owning Rarible, to me, is to be able to visualize that more. And being that, a decentralized governance and, the DAOs, which I relate more to the more financial focus institution, or not institution, but, blockchains that are more directly focused on the finances. I think that that's probably one of the more powerful things in cryptocurrency, and it kind of sums up the market in that, these are assets available to everyone. It's much easier to have your motivation, or to be motivated, if you are at a very low financial means, to getting a cell phone and internet, than to, worked more directly towards wealth. So if you can acquire a cell phone and internet, and then have collect as much, be able to put finances onto the internet somehow, some way or another, because banks are technically on the internet already. So if you have some type of financial institution that can put it onto the internet, you can invest into cryptocurrency. And then you could 100x your net worth within a bull market, which is now, and then you can accumulate assets over a 4-year period of time until the next one, which is what the history has shown. So I think that owning something like the Rari token, which is a governance to, on-ramp of an entire market, you're going to, one, be able to predict Nft'S values a lot better, which is a value in itself. And then holding the governance asset will allow you to eventually, once they're fully decentralized, make decisions in the direction of the marketplace. And then, depending on how invested you are, your decision may hold more weight. And that's kind of something that I'm interested in, at least the idea behind it. I might not be able to accumulate enough Rarible token to, be able to, my vote might not count for as much as someone that has, thousands of them, which I do not have thousands of them. But if I can vote at all, I think that would be something. But even just the observation is super valuable to me, with the way it generalizes the market, and the currency itself can be used within the marketplace. So even if you take 10 transactions on Rarible, let's say 100 transactions will be easier to divide up. So you take 100 transactions on Rarible. Now, the people that have been in the marketplace for a long period of time, you're going to see probably I think it's going to be surprising, and probably 30% of the market, 30 to 40% of the market. It'll be maybe close to half, but less than half. The transactions will be in Ethereum. Ethereum's starting to outpace the market in the fact that it seems less and less obtainable as far as the overall price goes. Even if it has great potential, most people don't understand buying fractions of something still, because of how inexpensive other currencies are. They're going to naturally compare Ethereum's price to, say Solana or Algorand. Solana's in a huge uptrend right now, and they're still at $250. You could buy 10 Solana for a reasonable amount of money, where Ethereum, you buy 10 Ethereum, and it starts to feel like it's a little more unobtainable. That's a down payment to buying a house. So I like to get into things that aren't necessarily totally considered yet, and I feel like the governance of essentially a nice size portion of a potentially huge marketplace is one that I'm okay with investing in the early term. But back to the ways of purchasing the NFTs on the Rarible marketplace, you can use Rari as one of the currencies to buy NFTs. So even if Rari is only utilized for, say, 20% of the purchasing on the platform, it still gauges 20%, which essentially gives you an idea of 100% of the transactions. So you're still observing at full capacity in the transactions on the marketplace. Because if it's 20%, it's 20%. Now, as that starts to go up, there might be a little bit of inefficiency in the observation, but then the value of the coin is being greater anyway, so you're going to focus a little more on the value of the coin and not necessarily its impact on the marketplace, in a sense. So maybe the price will be more correlated than the actual amount it's used. So being that NFTs have been adopted prior to actual cryptocurrencies by, famous people, business savvy, multi-millionaire business owners, because they see that if you can market something that's more visually pleasing than something that's an idea, way easier, because you're giving the idea and then people have something to look at. When you're trying to sell an idea with an idea, it's, there's too much overlap and dependence on people's reception of your communication, that when they have something to focus on and look at, it pinpoints their focus, and then as soon as you pinpoint their focus on a picture, they're more welcoming to what they're looking at because it's right in front of them. So either way, I like Rarible's approach. I think frictionless is the number one leader to adoption, and I think that's been their focus from the beginning, and I think that's what's been appreciated by Coinbase Ventures, and that's why they invested in them. And if Coinbase Ventures is going to invest into Rarible, then I will have no issue investing into Rarible because, let's be real, if you're in America and you're being introduced to cryptocurrency, there's really, in my eyes, one means of doing that in the most simple way, and that's on Coinbase. So if I know that out of 100 people, if only 3% are currently in cryptocurrency, then every percentage beyond that is going to be introduced through Coinbase, being that they're now a publicly traded company and they already have a major impact in the real world. Then I'm going to consider that the footsteps that they took to get to their position are basically a tribute to success, and if they're seeing that in some, you only invest in another company you can relate to, and if their values invested are similar, then you're going to invest in the same values that you have in someone else. So, Rarible could be the Coinbase for NFTs. And if they're partnering up with Coinbase to become that, then even better, because, you need one application that's basically giving you the capability to do a little bit of everything. That's my idea of it. So this one's a little longer. I tried to communicate the best I can. I just want to say that I feel like this is something that I'm doing in order to contribute to something I believe in, which is, the technology behind cryptocurrency. And I think that more people need to consider, being one of the vehicles of communication to the rest of us. And, the judgment that you put upon yourself is way greater than what someone can say in the comments. I just feel like we need to really let go of our insecurities that we put on ourselves, and be an asset yourself. Be of value to yourself and others, and be willing to speak what you think, and don't judge your thoughts on what you think other people are going to, or the way you think other people are going to respond, because, you can't predict a response. I couldn't predict the fact that anyone would be able to relate to how I think, and that was incorrect. I didn't come into this thinking that I was going to be relatable. I just have a lot to say, and if you have a lot to say and you think a lot, put your thoughts into words and project them on the internet, and focus on the people that, are willing to contribute to your thoughts and relate to your thoughts. it is probably one of the most valuable things that I've done for myself in a long time. And I've done a lot of valuable things. You know, this is something you can't compare to the other things in your life, and it depends on how you utilize it. But being able to communicate to people that you can't predict you would communicate to is way, way more powerful than, you know, having to put yourself in front of a specific audience, you know. Jersey Crypto, like, comment, hit the thumbs up button. It helps the channel, it helps me, and you know, only do it if you want to help me. I mean, I don't know. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.